I'm Christopher Lopez with Pacific Tiger Radio, and I'm here with today's Brickyard talent. Introduce yourself.
Pacific Tiger? That's badass. What did you ask me?
Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about you.
I'm Taylor John Williams.
Tell us where you're from, man.
I'm from Portland, Oregon, currently living in LA, and just trying to figure things out there. It takes a while.
Yeah, man.
What was the original question? I already forgot.
Don't worry about it, man. You answered it all.
Great. My mind wanders. There's like a dog over there, and it's like beautiful. I'm gonna try to focus.
Good time.
I don't have ADD or anything, but I have a hard time focusing sometimes on questions.
Oh, good, man. Don't worry. It's a real loose interview. It's like just go off whatever feels natural for sure.
Super terrifying for me. I never in a million years thought that would be something that I would be doing, or I never thought I'd be in that kind of position. But it was like one of those things where I'd never auditioned for anything before, and I thought it would be fun to go to LA and go to an open call audition and just see what happened, and it obviously ended up going a lot better than I thought it would. And but yeah, I mean, it was a really cool thing to experience. It was overall, for the most part, really positive, and it enabled me to have a career in music. So, yeah, I think it definitely, having to perform when you're that terrified gives you a new sort of confidence in yourself. So I definitely took that and ran with it after the show, and it helped fortify my belief that this is what I want to do. Even though what I was doing on the show is completely different than what I do in my solo, non The Voice life. It's still definitely, like I said, built a foundation to help me pursue an actual career in it. Well, shoot. Okay, so starting with the writing portion, I don't typically sit down and try to write a song, because when I do that, it doesn't usually end up going well, and I don't like what I write. So most of my songs that I've written that I actually enjoy playing on a nightly basis are ones that have sort of just happened or been inspired by something that somebody said, or that I saw in a movie or heard in a song. Something will inspire just like the tiniest little glint of an idea, and then it sort of grows from there. And that's when I typically enjoy the writing process the most, is when it's inspired and not forced.
Is there a specific song or something that just...
It's super funny, not to cut you off, but almost every time I try to do something musical that involves there not being a lot of noise, there's dogs doing shit in the background. Almost always. I have video of the first time I ever sang for like in front of my neighborhood. There's dogs just battling the entire time. And it seems like any time that there's a need for quiet to showcase something, there's dogs.
Dogs get in the way.
Anyways, yeah, there's definitely qualities in other musicians that I admire and would like to see in myself. As you said, I'm a huge Jeff Buckley fan. I love his his commitment. I would say above anything else, his commitment to his performance and his music. Even if he doesn't sound great, even if there's a lot of pitchiness or a lot of whatever sort of unsettling rawness to him, it's him, and it's him giving it 100%, and I admire that a lot, especially in a world where there's so much emphasis on perfecting music and auto-tuning this and creating this sort of sheen of perfection and presenting that to the world as if that's what is actually happening in the studio. I think that's whack. I've got a lot of musical influences. I grew up on hip hop. I love hip hop. I love structuring. If you heard my music, you wouldn't think that I am inspired by hip hop, but there's ways that the lyrical structure kind of flows. There's a pattern. There's a a way that it makes you move, and I sort of try to incorporate that into my lyrics and my verse structure, even if it's more folky and singer-songwritery. I still think it translates. You should have a certain flow, no matter what your genre is, that kind of gets people grooving. And Mos Def, like I'm a huge Mos Def fan.
Mighty Mos Def.
The Mighty Mos Def. Yeah, I was just listening. What was it? I was listening to Mathematics.
Oh,
right before I got here. Yeah, the Black on Both Sides album is. It's really tough when it's tough when you're trying to make it as an artist, because you don't necessarily want to put yourself in a box, but you want to have a sound that is slightly coherent. You want to, because it's when you go see a show, you kind of almost want to know. You don't want to know what you're getting. You want to be surprised, but you want to know what you're going to listen to. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you sort of have to develop a sound that, like I said, is coherent, that has a somewhat of a repetitive thing going on sonically, but I don't like that necessarily. I don't like writing music with that in mind, having to think that way. So yeah, that's something I'm still sort of trying to figure out. When people screw up on stage, or like there's certain people that you go see and they screw up on stage and you can see the panic just flood their entire body, and that translates to the band members, and it's like, they might try to play it off, but you can see it in their face when they make a mistake. And then there's other people who make a mistake and they just own it, and I feel like I like the latter a lot more. I like to just see people be like, hey, we're not perfect humans up here just because we play music, and just because we've practiced a million times, like, stuff happens. And
right.
And I think that's inspiring to people who want to be musicians, because it shows that you don't need to be perfect, because I feel like that's a common theme in music today, is that this showcasing of perfection, and I think it discourages a lot of people from wanting to pursue music, because they think they need to be that, and they think that any mistakes that they make are going to follow them for the rest of their lives, and that's just silly. Like, we're all just people. I don't understand that at all. So yeah, I every day I feel like I'm getting more comfortable performing in front of people, and because I'm caring less about messing up.
It's almost liberating, huh?
Yeah, and it's weird, because the more I care, the less I care about messing up, I found the less I do mess up. It's like a weird counterintuitive thing that happens. But yeah. Well, I was in a 7-year relationship. So basically, since I got out of high school until I moved from Portland to here.
Wow.
So that's an obvious major difference.
Yeah.
Being sort of free to experience life as a single person, not even just because of the relationship element, but just being on my own and experiencing myself outside of a relationship has been huge. It's been a big growing experience, I think, and I think it's bettered me and sharpened me, and will make me a better partner in my next relationship, even if it's with the same person. But other than that, I mean, I've just been really, really hyper focused on my career, and when you're part of a serious relationship, I'm not saying you can't have a serious career and a serious relationship, but it's just different. When you get to put all of your focus into what you're passionate about, career-wise, it's been a huge change. Not really. More so with the way that I perform them. I think I have a lot less restraint when I perform nowadays. Like, I feel like the music writing process has always kind of been the same, and the reasons that I write what I write happen for the same reasons, but I feel like I have a lot more to put into my performances, and the best way to say it is just less restraint. I played acoustic for the longest time, and I went through a lot of acoustic guitars that I've sort of fell in love with, but they all seemed to just kind of fall apart, or I would break them, or something would always happen to where it would just start sounding dead to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I was like, I think I'm going to take up electric. And this was when I started listening to more Jeff Buckley, and he primarily played electric. And
Right.
I got this Telecaster probably 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, and that's pretty much been the only thing that I've played since then.
Same one?
Yeah, I love it. Let's see. So the latest single that I put out is called White Summer Dress, and it's available on iTunes and Spotify, and there's a music video. It's also the first music video I've ever put out. That's on YouTube. And a fall tour is happening. I finally got a band together that I'm super stoked on, and
Wow.
we've had our first run of shows in LA, and we're going to do a fall tour. Hopefully, I still need to talk to some people, but hopefully come back here with the full band and in the fall, which would be rad.